another episode of Talk to Ty. Real people, real talk, real life. My name is Tatiana Monet, your lovely host, coming back with another episode. I hope you guys had a great week, and thank you for tuning in to what I got to talk about today, which is learning how to say no. No. So, and I'm recording in a different location today, if you are seeing the video version. So yeah, my background is a little bit different than what I typically go for, but you know, sometimes it's just necessary for me to pull out the camera and just get out what's on my heart. So this episode is definitely about learning how to say no, and it's important that I share this because I feel like there are people who need to hear this and know that it's okay to set your boundary and stand firmly on it, even if that means it might sour a relationship with someone else, because you still have to have room in your cup to make sure like that your cup is filled. You can't have your cup empty all the time because you're giving out to other people. So learning how to say no. What does that look like? If you don't want to share a bag of chips, I'm not trying to be funny. If you do not want to do someone a favor, if you don't want to go out on a date, if you don't want to talk on the phone with somebody, I mean, no is a real word. It's a complete sentence, and it is a final answer. And sometimes I feel in my eye is, if y'all are watching the video version of this, something is going on with my allergies where my eye is excessively tearing up. I don't understand it. It's actually very annoying. Not to mention, I already have dry skin. Sometimes I have combination skin, so sometimes it's dry, sometimes it's oily. The last thing I need with my allergy and sinus issues is dealing with some watery eyes. Like when I say it's legit been like about a week, I'm annoyed. So I need my eye to stop playing. I need my tears to stay in my body and stop leaking out my fluids. I'm tired of it. But anyway, so how that looks for me as of late is saying no to people who I care about, whether it's a relative, friends, you know, I mean, just anybody who I allow into my space, putting that boundary out there, setting the tone that this is not going to happen. You know, you have some people who are really close to you that don't mind asking you for something constantly. I mean, and it doesn't have to be an everyday type of thing, but it could just simply be every time they see you. It's something. They're asking you to produce. They're asking you to give. They're asking, can I receive something from you? And when that happens and you're not bringing something to the table, you're not reciprocating, you're not calling that person and saying, hey, I thought of you, here you go, without it having something else attached to it, you get tired of doing for people. And I know for me, I love hard. So when I'm loving on my loved ones, I don't want to see you struggle. I don't want to see you fail. And sometimes that'll put me in a position where I put myself in a position to care so much that I try to help as best as I can. One of my friends described me earlier as a healer. I don't like to see anybody hurting. You know, if someone's crying, I'm there. I'm very empathetic. I'm very understanding, very considerate. You know, even though I have that spicy side to me too, but that compassionate, sweet side can get in the way of a lot of things. It can let me hold on to somebody too long. It could allow me to suppress a feeling that should have been spoken up on. It could allow me to let certain people serve as a distraction or as a weight instead of stepping back or releasing myself from it, when all I could have said to begin with is no. And not having to explain myself. I don't have to explain why I said no. So back to a recent situation, the loved one that kept asking for stuff, I had to put some things into perspective for this person and say, all right, I know we related, I know we rock with each other, but I can't keep looking out for you. Essentially, you know, there was more to it than that, but just for reference on this episode's topic, I want to see what our relationship is like when I'm not helping you out with something. I need you to have the fire lit under your own behind and make some things work for yourself, because it's taken from me and you can't reciprocate. There's literally nothing you can give me besides conversation, and I can go find that. I can provide that for myself. It's important to have people like that in your life that are willing to tell you what's what, whether you want to hear it or not. And I'm perfectly okay with that. I'm always asking my friends, hey, was I wrong about this? Did I say this correctly? Blah, blah, blah. Because sometimes we may be so emotionally wound up in our own situations that our judgment is clouded and our irrationalities allow or prompt us to do things that are outside of our character. And that just means we're human. No big deal. But you still need those people to bring you back and be like, yeah, nah. So I was that person for this person. I'm like, hey, look, nah, I'm done. I'm at my wit's end. You can't, my cup is getting empty, and that's a problem. And it's my responsibility to fill my cup. So instead of me constantly pouring out into this other person's cup, I'ma stop my rations. I'm gonna stop my rations. And that's exactly what I did. And when I did that, when I said no, it was such a release. It's crazy that there's a way to have release in restraint. I didn't think that the two were related. Being able to feel like a weight is lifted off of your shoulder by blocking yourself off from something, having restraint. Because normally when you have to exercise restraint, it takes a lot of energy, and you feel like I am one step away from losing my shit. That wasn't the case this time. When I exercise restraint, meaning I am refraining from giving in to something, even if it's in my nature to be giving or helpful, I'm holding off on that. And when I did that, I was like, it's kind of like when you don't know if you still have leftovers in the refrigerator, and you thought about it all day when you get home, and when you get home, you open the refrigerator, that plate right there, you like, oh yeah, I did have something, I ain't gotta cook or nothing like that. I felt like I still had something left. My cup was not empty. I needed that feeling. Another way that I said no, there was a man trying to proposition himself to me, and he's not my type, and for a number of reasons, but he's very friendly, and he wanted to also network on a business level. And so I had to set the record straight, because I don't know what it is about viable females nowadays. I don't know what it is. Granted, handle your scandal, honey. I don't that ain't my business. But when men operate with that assumption that a woman will just give in or entertain you and let you spoil her at the cost of her body, I have a problem with that. I see it so often. You want to rub and touch all up on the person, and it's just like you assume that that's what she wants. And so when this man approached me, one of the first things I said was, I'm not doing anything physical with you. I don't trust any man with my body right now. I don't. So if you would like to have conversation, that's fine. If you would like to talk business, that is also fine. But just know, I don't want you working towards something that you're not going to get. You're not going to get this. I'm closed. No. And me saying no made me feel like I retained my power. I didn't give it away. I didn't give my body away. None of that. Slept like a baby. And that made me feel good, because a lot of times you're pressured into not saying no. you feel indebted to a person. And I'm not talking about this guy, but I'm just talking about in the grand scheme of things, like when you have relatives or friends or even your significant other, where you enable them to keep taking from you because you don't want to see what the other side may look like when you say no, when you put your foot down, when you draw that line, when you establish a boundary and you're like, you're not gonna keep doing this anymore. No. That's why I give a lot of credit to people who they know how to walk away from a relationship or exit an abusive situation or quit a job or stop letting people walk all over them because you guys all said no. You're not gonna hit me no more. You're not gonna steal from me no more. You're not gonna cheat on me no more. You're not gonna keep borrowing and never giving back no more. You're not gonna keep doing wrong and expecting me to treat you right no more. Whatever that is, whatever that looks like. If you've ever said no to somebody for the right reasons, I applaud you, because it's not as easy all the time, especially when you love people, when they're in your village, when they've helped you before or they're in a really crazy situation where you like, if I don't help them, then they're gonna fall, they're gonna get hurt, they're gonna lose. And I know that if I'm not involved, it will happen. That could be very hard, but sometimes you have to let people fall, and that's what I'm learning. I said in earlier episodes that I don't have a gray area. It's either black or white with me. There's no middle ground. Well, that's how it's been. I'm learning a middle ground on, I could still care about you without giving in to what you have or allowing it to affect my life and bring me down. I don't have to, like, just because I am who I am in certain people's lives, it doesn't obligate me to help them when it causes me harm. Just think about when you give to charity, right? You are running to Goodwill to get that stuff up off of your hands. You are like, I want my receipts so I can write this off on my taxes, you know, here, take this and this too. You, even if it's like a little broken, a little damaged, whatever, you know, the color faded a little bit, whatever it is, you're willing and able to give it away, and you feel like you've released some dead weight. Like, one man's trash is another man's treasure. Like, I know this is going to be put to good use. It's out of my hands. That's how charity should feel. Charity should never feel like you are being drained. It should never feel like you are depleted. Charity should never make you feel upset. It should never make you question anything. It should never make you feel out of place. And I had to really sit with that, because me not saying no was starting to build up so much where I was like, okay, I'm distracted because I'm focused on helping other people when I need to be putting that energy here to help myself. Okay, I understand. And so when I assessed what was going on, who was involved, I was able to make a decision that was for me. I had to put me first. Sometimes saying no means you put yourself first. Sometimes saying no means you are letting people be the adults that they are. And there's nothing wrong with that. Because sometimes we feel like not saying no can make you feel guilty. Because if something happens to that person and you were the last person they asked and you said no, now you feel like, dang, like, but it's like, hey, they got themselves into this situation, you didn't. So, because people have no problem saying no to you. And I know that for a fact. People have told me no, like they batted an eye. Boop, no. Okay. Understood. Now, when someone says no all the time and they never come through for you, they're never helpful, they're never supportive, they're never anything, they're just there. It's like, okay, now you're wasting space. Because, and I say this because when you have a village, you guys do for each other. There's a give and a take. So I'm not talking about people like that, you know what I mean, who they just can't help you right now. They don't have it. Like, they may have it for them, but they don't have it for you. They don't have it to spare for you. Or even if they did, they just don't want their money, their time, their effort going there. That's fair. I'm not talking about that. So I don't want people to think that this is just about saying no all the time. Like, no, it's not. This is when you have been saying yes so much that it is exacerbated. You say yes too much. You let people have their way with you too much. You let people disrespect you too much. You let people get too familiar too much. And you feel it and you know it, because you're like, man, if I was the old me. Like, when you have to sit back and start having those kind of moments with yourself, then you know it's time for a shift. It's time to leave people where they at. It's time to say no. It's time to knock it off. It's time to stop and let people be in their rightful place in their own lane without your help. Because there's been times where you've had to get it out the mud or do what you need to do on your own, or if you felt like nobody was there. So this is their turn. Once I started saying no, it became easier. And sometimes I have to catch myself, because I'll say no and then I'll start explaining my no. And I will legit verbalize out loud, I don't need to be explaining myself. I don't know why I'm explaining myself. The answer is no. Like, it's very funny, actually. I want everybody to try it. Saying no is so, it's just like, whoop, no, no to that. I don't have to do this. It makes you remember the power that you have, because you're preventing. It's almost like okay, like when you go bumper bowling. Mind you, y'all, I'm not a great bowler. I do get a strike every game, I do, but I am the happiest losing bowler ever. Like, as long as I got some points up there on the scoreboard, I'm happy, and I root for the other people. I do try my hardest. Now, one thing, whenever I go bowling with my friends, they never let me put the bumpers up there. That's fine, whatever. But when I see other people putting the bumpers up, that bumper is preventing that ball from going into the gutter, right? But when you do that, and that's something for, ideally for children, or for people who are just so unskilled at it that it's like, no matter what, you know, it ain't going down there, right? But there comes a point in the time where those bumpers have to come down if you want to continue bowling, because what was once a support is now a crutch. It's a dependency. And help should not be that. Help is just that. It's to help, to temporarily assist, to provide immediate aid. But when it's ongoing and it's perpetuating, no, that's kind of like, I'll say it, food stamps. That is temporary assistance. If you live in Georgia, that falls under TANF, temporary assistance and something else. All I know is I always hone in on the words temporary assistance. You have people that are habitually on food stamps, habitually on Section 8, knowing that they're able to get up and make an honest living on their own, because you choose to be inept. You choose to allow somebody else to cover your stuff, to where you have to sit here and falsify a part of your life to keep this benefit that you don't rightfully deserve. Meanwhile, there's other people in need that can't qualify to get it because the funds are maximized or maxed out, I mean, by the likes of you. That's the same concept that I think of when I encounter people who always want something from you. Every time you come to every function empty-handed. When you get around people, you like, oh, you ain't got no or extra, or can I borrow, or you mind if I. That gets on my nerves, y'all. That irks my soul. That irks my soul. One thing I will say is, when you learn how to say no to save yourself, to me, I feel like that's the ultimate reward. I watch a lot of crime shows, and what I love to see is when the victim survives, and when they tell their story and the horrors that they've been through, and you're just like, wow, I can't believe there's some humans out there that were willing to put this person through this, you know. And when they talk about that moment where it's a split decision, and either they're gonna die or they're gonna thrive or survive, and what they ultimately said was, no, not today. I'm not dying today. You not finna take me. You not finna rape me. You not finna touch me. At the end of the day, it's gonna be you or me, and it's not gonna be me. So come on. Bring it on. I'm in a very vulnerable state when I am forced into a decision where I have to say no, right? Just think about it. Someone comes to you in need, and it's very important. It may be, I don't want to say life or death, but it may be very dire. And you put me in this position where my answer literally affects me. Nah. I don't want to be put in a position of vulnerability in order to help somebody else. Not in a negative way like that. And I mean vulnerable, like down, like at risk of harm and danger. Not vulnerable in the sense of I'm comfortable enough to break out of my shell. I'm talking about the other side of vulnerability, where you are vulnerable, like a weak, wee little animal in the forest. You know. That's sometimes how it feels, and I'm not comparing this to a victim survival story in this regard of what I'm about to say. But when you are put in a position where you feel obligated to not say no, that's such an uncomfortable thing. It can bring about bitterness, and what's the word I'm looking for? Not only can it make you bitter, resentful. It can make you very resentful, very reactive. It hardens you because you like, man, here goes so-and-so. I know they're finna ask me for something. Kind of like men who are husbands to their mothers. That's one example that I know for sure I can speak on, because quite a few of my male friends feel indebted to their moms. No matter how crappy the mothers were to them, it's like these women don't do for themselves, so they put all of that pressure onto their sons, and they want their sons to now take care of their household and their own household. Like, your son got kids and a wife. Why are you trying to make him take care of you when you could get your butt up and go? You better go to the grocery store and get one of them baggers jobs or something like that, boo. Like, it's like, you know, daughters who they always say yes to, not daughters, I'm sorry. It's like sons and daughters who's always asking their parents for something, and their parents just constantly give it to them, If you're that parent that never says no to your kids, you are crippling them. You are disabling them, because the world ain't gonna always tell them yes. And so when they start hearing no, they're not gonna know how to act. They're gonna have little tantrums, and these are gonna be adults having these full-blown tantrums, because You put it out there for them to think that everything is gonna happen their way. It creates a sense of entitlement that will definitely turn into a wound, because the world is gonna bruise you, beat your ass. I mean, it will. And that's why I value the word no, because it shows you that things can still get done even if you don't contribute to it. It shows that people have their own preferences. It shows that what's mine is not yours. It shows that you can figure it out. Like, it's a real thing. And people need to experience that a lot more. Put your boundaries in place. I said no. I meant what I said. I don't have to explain it. You don't have to agree with it. You don't even have to like it. But this is that. And you're going to be okay. What's the phrase? You'll be strong. You'll be strong. And they will. Because the people that I have said no to, they okay now. So me feeling bad, it's like, yeah, it's because I care. But it's like, when I really look at it, it's like, but why do I care so much? Why do I not want them? Why am I giving them more grace than I give myself? I'm giving them more grace to take from me than giving myself the grace to say, hey, that's not okay. Don't let people keep taking from you. Don't let people keep picking the fruit out of your garden. Okay. So I wanted to get that message out there so that people can know the importance of the word no. Not gonna happen. Somebody approach you and you don't want to talk to them, no thank you. Somebody gives you a job and it's BS, it's not gonna pay well, there's no real benefit, no thank you. Somebody brings some BS to you and they want you to help them get out of this situation real quick, no thank you. Somebody want to borrow some money, no thank you. Somebody want to come stay at your house for a few weeks because they transitioning, no thank you. Somebody want to borrow your car, no thank you. I can keep going on and on because I know for a fact y'all can relate. I know you can. So use your no. Love your no. Appreciate your no. Because then you still have something for yourself. My grandma always told me, always keep something for yourself. Like, yeah, some people say, oh yeah, you know, that person that give you the shirt off their back, they'll give you their last. And it's crazy because that's the person that sometimes people talk about something happened to them and nobody was there for them. Now, I'm not saying don't look out for your people, but have the discernment to know when to give and when to hold. If you can't do without it, don't give it. Unless it's really in your spirit to give it. And you're just like, look, I know I'll get mine back. You know, I ain't worried about it. All right, cool. But if you can't spare it, don't share it. If you're not in the mood, don't do it. Because you also don't want to give while you're in vain. You don't want that either. Because you transfer energy like that. That's just like the other day. I said no. I was at the groomer for my dog. And the lady had a terrible attitude. I said no. No thank you. I don't want her touching my dog. Because if you have that spirit within you and you mean and you rude and you ignorant, how can I think that you're going to do right by my dog? An innocent creature that doesn't have the ability to tell me, hey, she's hurting me or she's doing something, she's holding me too tight, she's rough. Absolutely not, because I'll break your face. I don't play about my dog. Anybody know me? No, not Layla. That's like my child. I don't have children, so no. I said no. I booked another appointment for another day. I said I'll be back whenever it's not her and I want to pick my person. Yeah. Sometimes saying no gives you options when you hold off on something. Kind of like I was watching King Richard on a flight a few months ago, and how Serena Williams turned down this big offer. She was like, no. Something bigger came along. So sometimes no gives you more options, better options. Use those options. So that's what I wanted to share with y'all today. I appreciate y'all for tuning in with me. If this is content that you can connect with, please feel free to drop those comments and questions, you know, on my platform, whether you are listening on Apple Podcasts or watching on YouTube. I do appreciate it so very much. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to my channel. My Instagram is Tatiana Monet. My TikTok is Tatiana_Monet, and the podcast Instagram is Talk to Tot. So that concludes my episode of said show, Talk to Tot. Real people, real talk, real life. Your lovely host Tatiana Monet is signing out. Until next time, be blessed.